Good afternoon and welcome to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. It is so beautiful here in Memphis, Tennessee, but if you're watching somewhere else, hello and how are you? Dialogue with Deidre is on the M1 TV network. We're headquartered here in Memphis, but we hope that you're watching us from wherever you are and you like to know what's going on, not just here in Memphis, but in other parts of the world. So please like our Twitter page, our Facebook page, that will be Dialogue with Deidre. Also, our M1 TV network pages, and follow us as well. On the network right before my show, you had the opportunity to see and hear Black Thought with Dr. Noel Hutchinson. Right now, we're the premier shows on the network, but we're looking for other opportunities to bring better programming and great programming to our viewers. Today, I want to talk about three things that are going on, specifically here in Memphis. The Shelby County Commission is meeting today, and they're taking up the issue of a potentially new juvenile detention and education center. It's Juvenile Justice and Education Center. It's something that Mayor Lee Harris has been advocating for, but there are a few hurdles that he's had. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Then we also want to talk about a new grant opportunity that exists in our community that is a partnership between Kroger, specifically the Delta Division, and the new Tri-State Defender and the NAACP Memphis branch. It's called the Uplift Our Community Grant. And the maximum amount a nonprofit can receive with this grant is $10,000. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to begin our show talking about an article that is in today's commercial appeal viewpoint section. And it is an article that was penned by Alice Marie Johnson. Now, Alice Marie Johnson made news when Kim Kardashian West approached the President of the United States, Donald Trump, about releasing her from prison. She had been in prison 21 years for a drug charge. A native Memphian. Apparently, Kim Kardashian West saw a viral interview about her and her circumstances and advocated through her massive Twitter account. I know she has millions of people that follow her on social media. Advocated for Miss Johnson to be released from prison. And for a low-level drug charge, she was actually sentenced to life in prison. But there's a great piece on her in today's issue of the commercial appeal, and it is entitled, "Trump Gave Me a Second Chance, Now Others Deserve the Same Thing." And so she talks about how, I guess it's been a year ago, she was sitting in jail at a federal prison in Alabama. And she, of course, was a nonviolent offender, and that she was asking for prayers because she had a life sentence. So now this weekend, though, Ms. Johnson will be speaking at a conference in Palm Springs, California, organized by the Seminar Network and founded by Charles Koch. The group of philanthropists works to remove barriers preventing people from realizing their full potential. So how is it, and in this piece she talks about how is it she gets to the point where now she's a motivational speaker, when just a year ago she was sitting in prison and had a life sentence. And so she has been separated from her family for 21 years and until President Trump gave her clemency. And she talks about how she had gone on through while she was in prison, and actually it looks like she became a ordained minister while she was in prison. And she mentored a lot of the young women who were incarcerated and serving time for nonviolent crimes like her. So her youngest child was 17 when she went to prison, and she was in prison for 21 years, as I said. So she's a grandmother now, and so she was not there, of course, for the birth of any of her grandchildren. But it also talks about how she got involved in the drug trade, which I think is fascinating, and which I think can happen to a lot of people who are, without a job, who want to work without a job, facing issues of trying to pay their bills, trying to take care of their families, their children, and feel like they have no other way. There's always another way, but sometimes people feel like they don't. So she talks about how she got married early. She was 15 when she got married, and the husband was only 2 years older than her, so he was 17, and that was in the 70s. The marriage didn't last, but they had 5 children together, and a couple of decades later, she was a manager at FedEx. She had a management position at FedEx, and she lost her job. And so she was out of money with no financial support. Her house was in foreclosure, and she found herself in a position where someone asked her to make phone calls for them, relaying messages about money. And she found herself in the middle of a drug conspiracy, and that is how she got connected with drug dealers. And so with her being a first-time nonviolent offender, it looks like she was offered a plea deal and had a good chance of winning the case. So she didn't want the plea deal, so her attorney felt like she could win this case. And back in 1996, on drug and conspiracy charges, it ended up that the drug dealers that she had been working with or working for actually testified against her. And so with that, she ended up in prison. And it was supposed to be for the rest of her life. The rest of her life. Until, as she said, she had angels that came in and stood up for her and advocated for her. And one of those angels was Kim Kardashian West, who advocated to the President of the United States to allow her sentence to be reduced and for her to be given clemency so she could go home and spend the rest of her life with her family. Just imagine how many people are out there today that have had similar circumstances, down on their luck, felt like they needed an opportunity to make some money to provide for their family, and felt like this one little incident would not hurt them, but would help them provide some income for their family, and then got caught up and then got locked up. When you think about like the 80s and the early 90s, where a lot of African American men and women were locked up for small level drug charges. It happened. People are still in jail because of it. Megan, looks like the light went out. You're good. Okay. And so with that, people are still facing those charges today. They are. And so with that, my hope is that there is a movement of, attorneys and celebrities or just regular everyday activists that are out there fighting for the release of some of these nonviolent, low-level offenders. Because, the prison industry is big business. Okay, you have CSA and a whole CCA and a whole lot of private entities making a great deal of money off of incarceration. And some folk don't need to be in jail. Now, if there are opportunities for diversion or opportunities for employment, some of these major corporations are helping a lot of these non-violent offenders once they exit the prison system with job opportunities. Now, my firm is not large, but it is something that we've done and we continue to do. We look at opportunities when we have our green team. We look for opportunities to hire individuals that are in need of employment that just want that second chance, because we believe in second chances and we feel like that's important. So happy for Miss Johnson. I'm going to ask Megan to see if we can get Miss Johnson on one of the Dialogue with Deidre shows, because she's right here in Memphis, and I'd love to have an opportunity to interview her and just talk about her experience. Excellent piece that was penned in today's Commercial Appeal, and I think with what happened to her, you'll see, and my hope is that she'll continue to advocate for others who've had the same type of situation that she had, and be able to advocate for clemency or for an early release and an opportunity for them to be out with their families and to, a lot of them, turn their lives around while they're in prison. And they just want to provide for their families. So kudos to you, Ms. Johnson. We're going to be reaching out to you to try and see if we can get you on Dialogue with Deidre. So glad that you're out and about and that you are advocating and sharing your story, because that's important. Today, I mentioned that at the Shelby County Commission today, one of the big items on the agenda will be the vote on the new Juvenile Justice Education Center that Mayor Lee Harris, Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris, has been advocating for. I know it's been on the agenda a number of times, and I do know that the commission has sent it back to committee several times because there's some commissioners who feel strongly that the center should not be built, that those dollars should be put into programs, preventative programs for our children. I'm going to say that, very proud of the NAACP Memphis branch membership. For at our general membership meeting last Thursday, we were able to hear from Mayor Lee Harris, and we were also able to hear from Chairman Van Turner, who serves as the first vice president of the branch, on information about the state of the current detention center that we have in Shelby County. Apparently it's deplorable that our children shouldn't be housed or detained in a facility like that. And so with that, we are, the general membership voted to go down and share our position, and our position is that the commission moving forward with supporting Mayor Harris's ordinance to move forward with this new, brand spanking new detention center for our children. Here's the deal. There's some people who feel like Juvenile Court Judge Dan Michael is not doing enough when it comes to preventative programming, and that we should be spending millions of dollars on programs. I don't disagree. I think we should too. I think that there's so many youth who have an opportunity to get in trouble because there's not enough programming, and that if we can put some additional dollars into programming, we should. I don't disagree with you. I support that. But what I do know is there's an opportunity for there to be a dual track. While the new detention center is being built, you can still be fighting for that programming, that preventative programming that is so needed in our community at the same time. Don't not do one because we know we need the other. We can do them both at the same time. And I know it's a delicate situation. There are not a lot of disposable dollars that you can use because the budget's tight. But if it's important to Shelby County, and I think this is, we can work it out. So my hope is that we will have an opportunity to share, and I'll be down at the county commission meeting today at 3:30 and invite people to come out and pick up a card and share your thoughts on this, because if we don't remember anything else, we need to remember that the mayor works for us, and so does the Shelby County Commission, because we elected them. And so it is not a bother for us to go down there and to share our opinion. That's the reason they were elected, to hear from the people and then vote accordingly. And so we're headed down there today at 3:30, and our hope is that they'll figure out how to work together and to get this facility in the budget and approve the $1.5 million to start the process of the design of the center, and then work out the details, additional details later. So, see you at 3:30. The other thing I want to mention, and I mentioned it briefly, is that the NAACP, Kroger, and the new Tri-State Defender are working together on the Uplift the Community Grant. Excited about it. And what we want to do, and the concept behind this is, you always hear about everything negative that's going on in Memphis. And there's so many good things happening in Memphis and Shelby County. But we do know that blight is a problem. We do know that that crime is a problem in some areas. Some areas crime's going down in the city, in some areas crime's going up in some categories. And we should be about trying to improve our community. So these three organizations came together and created the Uplift Your Community Grant. And so if you are a 501c3 and you have a program or an idea that encompasses one or all of those three things, then my hope is that you will submit a grant proposal or application and have that in by March the 1st. We kicked this thing off on January the 18th, and we already have a few grants that have grant applications, that have come in. And so our hope is that people are learning about this. You can learn more about it by going to the NAACPmemphis.org website, NAACPmemphis.org website. There is a page that talks about this grant opportunity. If you are a subscriber to the new Tri-State Defender, then you have probably seen an ad or gone online to tsdmemphis.com and seen an ad, a digital ad about it, where you can just press on that digital ad and go to the application page and fill out an application for this grant. And so $10,000 maximum. If you got a great idea, I hope you submit. So excited about that as well. I just want to mention finally, before we close out, that the NAACP Memphis branch elected new officers in December. Was it December? November. Well, they were sworn in last week. So I'm proud to announce that I was elected president for another 2-year term. Not sure I'm going to do the full 2 years, but there are a couple of things that I want to make sure we get accomplished before I say adios. And one of those things is, I don't know if you know that your NAACP Memphis branch has a office. We have a huge building at 588 Vance. And so a part of what we are trying to do is we're trying to renovate that building and make sure that it is up to code, the HVAC system is working, that we don't have wires that are as old as Methuselah, so we're trying to renovate that building and have opportunities for other nonprofits in the city who are in need of office space to maybe rent some of that office space and have community meetings at that property. So that is what I want to try and accomplish before I step down as president of the local branch, and we're working on it. Kudos to our executive director, Vicki Terry, and to our 588 Vance Chair and Housing Chair, Felicia Harris Williams, for all the hard work that you're putting into making this a reality. And I want to publicly say kudos to you and thank you. So as we wrap up Dialogue with Deidre for today, I want to thank our producer and our director, Megan Oliver, for putting together an awesome show, and it looks good because I can see it because I'm looking at the monitor too. Thank her so much. I want to thank our viewers for continuously watching us on one of our platforms, be it YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever we are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And remember to go like our social media platforms. Make sure you like M1 TV Network. Make sure you like Dialogue with Deidre, and make sure you like Black Thought with Dr. Noel Hutchinson. It's been great being with you today, and we will be right back here on Monday with Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host. Have a great rest of your day.